are serving another Jesus. So, as far as we stood in the confusion, we were out of it, and we do not have blood on our hands in either direction because we didn't vote. You say, well, you're not even an American if you don't vote. Hallelujah. Well, I got news for you. Your vote didn't count anyway because Mr. Obama is now in power by the Electoral College and not by the popular vote. So dreamers, dream on. Now another thing that I want to hit on today before I get into this actual chapter is this. Those of you who are patriotic Americans, good old red, white, and blue, God and country, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, it says, thou shalt have no other gods before me or beside me. So when you even make the declaration that your identity is God and country, you've already angered God. Oh, it's true. You've already angered God because you put your allegiance with the country and you're putting it on a basis of equality with God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me or beside me. That means if you put your idols beside God, you are grieving God because you are saying these things are worthy of my time, my effort, my love, my money, my worship. So Americans are in for a rude awakening. They are in for an awakening to the fact that they will soon become a mocking to all countries. And why is that? It is because the hand of God is raised in wrath and fury and indignation against the rebellious, against the proud, against the defiant, against his own people who've gone a-whoring from him. So you say, well, what are you saying? I'm saying, just like God the Father said, this is my beloved Son, hear ye him. In other words, let us get back to Jesus only because he is the one that God has provided. We don't need a multitude of other gods. We don't need idols. We don't need to put our trust in people, places, or things. We don't need to worship nations. We need to worship the Lord. You know, we have a hang-up in this country that God identified to me way back in the 80s. It's called patriotism theology, where we just want to worship the founding fathers. Hey, the founding fathers were carnal men. Come on, sober up. And some of them were just rebels that like to go around the world and stir up trouble. And some of them were in it for their own promotion of their political careers. And it was the vogue in those days to quote the Bible. It doesn't mean they were all Christians. And we built up this whole fairy tale about the history of America that isn't true. And why? Because we're living in denial. We want to live in some fabricated tale about how great and magnificent and glorious America has always been. The only thing that gave America any favor was its recognition of God. And now that we are neglecting God, abusing God, accusing God, and out blatantly rebelling against God, God's favor is lifted. God's favor. So come on, we want to be heathen, we want to brag about being pagan, let's receive the rewards of the pagan. Let's get our share of the cyclones, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, economic distress to the point that we're in bread lines. We're in food stamp lines right now. Oh, excuse me, debit cards to keep your dignity. And people are screaming out in the midst of disaster, where's the government? Where do you think? They're either on a vacation, at a party, or in a sodomite parade. You want to know where the government's at? As far away from your troubles as they can get. So we trusted in the government. We trusted that good old uncle will redeem us out of every circumstance. Uncle can't redeem you, and he can't redeem me out of the hand of God. Now, let's get into this scripture here in Ezekiel 22. And we're going to begin today in... Well, let's read this verse 4 again. In your blood which you have shed, you have become guilty. You are defiled by the idols which you have made, and you have caused your time of judgment and punishment to draw near, and have arrived at the full measure of your years. Therefore have I made you a reproach to the heathen nations, and a mocking to all countries. Those who are near and those who are far from you will mock you, you infamous one full of tumult. Behold, the princes of Israel in you, every one according to his power, have been intending to shed blood. So what is it saying? It's saying your rulership, those you are trusting in, those you are looking to, have one goal: to shed blood. Did you know when men are antichrist, even if they say they're Christian, but their behavior and their agenda proves they are antichrist, their whole goal is to shed blood? In the promotion of the sodomite rights movement, that is shedding blood. That is causing children to be cursed with that demonic control. That is causing premature death. That is causing disease to run rampant. That is causing all kinds of evil to be opened up upon humanity. And say, well, I just voted for that, and it seemed okay. Well, it's about time we stop looking at what seems okay and ask God what really is okay. Because the truth of it is, in the times we are living, there's not only a demon behind every bush, there's a demon in the White House. And not only one demon, but a multitude of demons. And there's a demon in your state capital, and there's a demon in your mayor, and in your governor, and anybody else that you want to look to as a prince that's ruling over you. Because the agenda is to shed blood. Death culture. God named it out here, several days ago in the Word. He said this is a death culture. Men worship death. They're going to get death. So, you want to look to your leaders. You want to look to your elected officials. Remember, honey, you didn't even elect them. You may think your vote counts. How come it didn't count this time? Sober up. Americans are drunken on Americanism. And all Americanism is, dear folks, is mythology. It's mythology. It's no different than Hinduism. Hindus serve a multitude of gods. I believe if we would take an evaluation of the gods that Americans serve, we probably surpass the Hindus. Now, here you have this huge disaster hits the East Coast, brings devastation, ruination, catastrophe, disaster, all kinds of terrible things transpiring. And the first thing that the mayor wants to do is bow down to the god of sports and have the marathon to go on, no matter who's drowning, no matter who's homeless, no matter who's without food or having their possessions totally looted by hoodlum gangs. Let's bow to the god of sports. Spend all this extra money setting up generators so that the media can cover a marathon of dorks in shorts, parading queers, showing how nice they shave their legs when they run. This is how lunatic this place is. The god of sports. How many Christians bow to the god of sports? Big screen. Yeah. On and on and on. Worship your idols. Worship your other gods. Worship your images. Going on, it says, in you they have treated father and mother lightly. In the midst of you they have dealt unjustly and by oppression in relation to the stranger. In you they have wronged the fatherless and the widow. So in other words, he's saying all the things you were supposed to do, you haven't done. Then it says, you have despised and scorned my sacred things and have profaned my Sabbaths. How much do people hate the righteousness of God right now? They despise it. Anything that's righteousness is called legalism. It's about time we got a little legalism. Outlaws, rebels, haters of righteousness. Then it says, in you are slanderous men who arouse suspicions to shed blood. And in you are they who have eaten food offered to idols upon the mountains. In the midst of you they have committed lewdness. So in other words, all the things God said don't do, they are doing. Now you have to admit, if you are honest, that the so-called worship that goes up to God in these rock and roll rap crap places called churches is lewdness. When people are wanting to kick out the walls in the house of God, that's lewdness. When people are doing all manner of sensuous dances and even playing real rock music, I mean with the magicians, the musicians in proud array, who have made their tens of millions off the addiction of the world to sensuality, are right there in the so-called houses of God playing the same vileness that has corrupted several generations. And the people love it so. That's lewdness. That's lewdness. Okay, going on, it says, in you, men have uncovered their father's nakedness, the nakedness of mother or stepmother. In you, they have humbled women who are ceremonially unclean during their periods or because of childbirth. So what is it saying? It's saying they're so sex crazed, just like now, that anything goes. There's no limit to the appetite, to the lust, to the greed that has been unleashed. Now in America, forget about your mother or your stepmother, go for your kid. They said that's the latest thing now that's rising on the horizon, incest. Just go eat up your kid. Damn your kid. Ruin your kid. So God's saying, see you violators, you lusting fools, you promiscuous idiots, see what you're doing? You're defiling everything I told you not to touch. So in other words, they're showing their absolute disrespect towards God because they are going after the very things God had forbidden unto them. Then it says, and one has committed abomination with his neighbor's wife, another has lewdly defiled his daughter-in-law, and another in you has humbled his sister, his father's daughter. So see, they have their incestuous problems also. So you open the can of sexual freedom, you open that bag of snakes, and those snakes are going everywhere. And even this promotion of the sodomization of America, that, my dear friends, is the fruit of sexual freedom. And abortion is the fruit of sexual freedom. America, the land of the free. Free to do what, idiots? Turn into rapists, turn into sodomites, turn into incestors, turn into whores, turn into animals, turn into lower than animals. It's gross. We're living in a time of grossness. You think you're having a good time? Wait till the disease racks your body. Wait till you pay for your gain. Wait till your own babies that you've murdered stand up in judgment against you. And say you are the one. It's horrifying. And all of this is done in this great country that God's blessing. No, folks, it's a great country that God's cursing. Cursing, because it's the time of his wrath, fury, and indignation. Okay. In you they have accepted bribes to shed blood, you have taken forbidden interest and percentage of increase, and you have greedily gained from your neighbors by oppression and extortion and have forgotten me, says the Word God. I mean, how much of America is consumed by greedy gain? Just about the whole place. Behold, therefore, I have struck my hands together at your dishonest gain which you have made, and at the blood which has been in the midst of you. Can your heart and courage endure? Or can your hands be strong in the days that I shall deal with you? I, the Lord, have spoken it, and I will do it. Then he goes on here and he tells them what he's going to do to them. He says, I will scatter you among the nations and disperse you through the countries, and I will consume your filthiness out of you. How do you think God consumes filthiness out of people? By suffering, by misery, by affliction, by woe. You want to play dirty dog? Okay, down dirty, I'll give it to you. And you're going to pay and pay and pay for your play. Listen, people, we pay for our play. I know, I done been there and done that. You think you don't pay? You pay. You think you can play around, play the game, play the field, play the world, hey, you pay. You pay. No matter who you are, God will get his vengeance on you. I will consume your filthiness out of you. Okay? And then you shall be dishonored and profane yourself in the sight of the nations, and you shall know, understand, and realize that I am the Lord. And the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, the house of Israel has become to me scum and waste matter.